Hello, Star Learners. You're welcome to another episode of the IELTS training on my YouTube channel. Welcome to Star Language Arts. And you know it's where we actually light up language one word at a time. So, if you're joining us for the first time today, you're specially welcome. Do well to take a look at the previous videos that we've had in this playlist or in this series, which is the highest test. We've had the reading and the listening, and today we're moving on to the writing aspect of the test. I hope you've been practicing and don't forget to leave me a feedback, ask your questions, tell me about your fears, and watch me dissipate them. Hyatt writing skills. Today we're going to sharpen those pencils and not just the pencils, we're going to sharpen your ideas. We're going to be talking about the Hyatt writing task 1 and 2. We're going to be talking about coherence and cohesion, planning and proofreading, and grammar that works. I hope that excites you because I am excited. Let's get into it. But before we do that, I would like to ask that you please take some time, some minutes to give me a thumbs up if you enjoy what I'm doing and tell somebody about this channel. Invite somebody to come on board, especially if you have people in your corners that are planning to write this proficiency test. I hope you do that for me. Thank you. Here is the icebreaker. What is the weirdest thing that you've ever written about? I want to hear you. Yes, I want to read from you. So tell me in the comment section the weirdest thing that you've ever written about. Maybe amidst your friends or in an examination or maybe in an interview. Just tell me that one thing that is actually very weird that you have actually written about. It could also be you playing with, your pen and your paper. I'd love to hear it all. Let's move to understanding the writing task. So, in the highest writing test, you have two tasks. There's going to be a task 1 and a task 2. In your task 1, if you're writing the academic Hyatt, you're going to summarize a visual data. This could be a bar chart, a pie chart, a graph, you know, pictogram, something visual represented in data, and you will be requested to actually summarize what you can see, the features, and even make comparisons of the things you can see in the visual data. If you're writing the general Hyatt, you're going to be writing a letter. Yes, the first task will be requiring you to write a letter. Task 2 is general. This is actually an essay and it could be about your opinion, it could be a discussion, it could also be a problem solution kind of essay where a problem is clearly stated or the effect of a problem, and then you're required to talk about the problem and how the problem can be solved, like give us steps to mitigate the effects of the problem. So basically, this is what the writing task is all about, the task 1 and the task 2. Remember what I say usually on this channel. I say to you that if you don't know what is required of you, that to me is the first step to failure because you don't even know what you're required to do. So, how best can you attack a question that you do not even understand as a question? Let's talk about a further breakdown. For the task 1, you're expected to give a minimum of 150 words. Now, for this particular task, my counsel over the years, with my years of experience, training, and getting feedbacks from the success stories of my students, I can say that you should try to be within 200 to 250 words. Yes, minimum means you can do more, but try as much as possible not to get too worthy. So you can do 150, you can do 170, 200, 210, 230, 250. 250, I believe, is a good place to stop so you don't keep repeating your point and overusing some words. Now, this particular test is actually capturing 1/3 of the total writing band, and you're expected to spend 20 minutes, but I would say spend 15 and use the remaining 5 minutes to go over your essay. If you're writing the academic module, you're going to have a description of an information, usually in the form of a diagram, an object, a process, or a set of data. And if you're writing the general training, is usually a letter in response to a given situation, and this situation is usually transactional in nature. For the task 2, you're expected to supply a minimum of 250 words. 40 minutes is actually allocated for this, and this captures 2/3 of your total writing band. So you can see 1/3 is something, but 2/3 is bigger, and that's where you have a lot. Now, for this, you can stay within the range of 250, 300, 350, and 400. I feel 400 is actually a good place to stop. Now, usually it's an essay in response to a point of view, an argument, or a problem. It's important that you spend your time wisely. Remember, the slogan for this particular examination is speed and accuracy. Yes, you have to be fast. At the same time, you have to be accurate. So when you're practicing the modules through your test taker portal, I would advise you to watch your time, watch your clock, and at the same time, endeavor to give the right answers to your questions. So, understanding the writing task, here we're going to take a little bit of an activity hunt. I want you to tell me which task is this. Number 1, write to your boss about a raise. Yes, you guessed that right. That's actually a letter, right? Summarize a line graph. That's a visual data. And 3, discuss the pros and cons of online learning. This is actually an essay, right? We have the answers here. General training, letter writing, could be semi-formal or formal. The second one is academic and is report writing, where you're describing a visual data. The other one is an essay, which is actually the same for both an academic module and the general module. So, task 1. What is task 1 requiring of you? What's it demanding from you? This task actually demands that you, the test taker, be able to describe clearly the main trends. Pay attention to some keywords here. The main trends, parts of a process, and or important changes that can be observed in the data given. Now, it's important that you pay attention to your question. Usually, your question will require you to report the main features of the visual data presented to you, and that you compare the data you've been given. So it could be the number of students who go to school in maybe a Mercedes versus the number of students who go to school in let's say maybe in a Camry. Yeah, so two different cars, two different figures, because the number will most likely vary, and when it varies, you have to actually pay attention so that you're able to compare this data that you have been presented with. Now, this is a typical picture of what you will find in your task one as someone who is writing the academic test, the academic module of the test. It could be a bar chart, a pie chart, a line graph, a process diagram, maps, or plans. It could be either of these. It could be any of these things you're seeing on your screen. So it's important that you practice with every one of them, because you really don't know what will be staring at you when you're seated in front of the computer. Now, it's important that when you're dealing with this task one, there are some words that you should endeavor to use. You know, words that describe movement. You should compare very well. Like you have words like decline, gradually, fall, peak, plateau, and all of those words can actually stand your essay out and give you your desired band score of 8, 8 band and above. Okay, so we also have the writing assessment criteria. Now, this is the part where I tell you what you have been tested on. And it's important that you know, if you ask me. Here are the 4 major things that you will be tested on in your IELTS writing. So we're talking about the writing assessment criteria. The first one is task achievement. Did you really achieve the task you've been given? This can be effectively done if you answer your question appropriately. So it's important that when you read your questions, you're taking the time out to mark the keywords that defines what you've been requested to do. So it's the part where you're being judged based on the level to which you achieved the task you have been given. The second one is cohesion and coherence. Here is the question of how well did the information and ideas you supplied, how well are they organized? How well are they linked? And at this point, I would love to bring to your mind linking devices or linkers, depending on how you want to address them. These are words that allows you to smoothly transition from one paragraph to another in your essay. There are various examples of them, like more so, moreover, nonetheless, in addition, in conclusion, conclusively, a lot of them, although also these are words that are paragraph linkers or linking devices that ensure a smooth transition from one paragraph to another. You must know when to use what. Is very important. You must know when to use what. The next thing is grammatical range and accuracy, the range of structures, your tenses, how well did you use them? Your obedience to concord, the agreement between your subject and verb. Your agreement to concord is your allegiance to subject verb agreements, which is also known as concord, is very important. Also, here we're going to check the kind of tenses that you have, the kind of sentences that you have, your structures should vary. What I mean by that is you should have a mixture of simple sentences, complex sentences, compound sentences. You should be able to infuse this effortlessly to give your essay a beautiful touch. If you stick with just simple structures, that will actually make your essay sound as though it was written by somebody who cannot effectively use the language. So, by mixing up your structures, by giving us a variety, it will actually tell on your proficiency, and that is to your advantage. The last thing here is lexical resource. Here we're going to be talking about your vocabulary, words. How rich is your word bank? You know, the same way we have the financial banks where you deposit your money and you withdraw them when you need them, there is also the vocabulary bank. Here you keep words that you've learnt over time there, and by the time you need a word, you can, accurately bring it forth and use it effectively. Collocations are also important here. Collocations are words that are in agreement. For example, prefer rice to beans and not prefer rice than beans. Collocations, words that go together, they agree together. When you see one, you will most definitely find the other part. Either or, neither nor. Yeah. So, having said this, now let's move on to the next thing. Problems with task 1. What are the problems that one might fall into as you endeavor to carry out the task you've been given, particularly task 1? Number one thing is understanding what the task requires. You need to understand. It's important that you understand the question you're being asked. And that is where task achievement comes in. A lot of persons score low in their IELTS test because they never even answered the question. They wrote, they typed, they submitted, they felt good, like, oh, I did great. But when the result comes, they realize that in fact when the when the script gets to the examiner, it's like you were told to do A and you went as far as doing, Z. It could be that much apart. So task achievement is very important. The next thing that people find problematic with task 1 is vocabulary for describing their data. We call this lexical resource. Lexes, words, right? Resource. How rich is your vocabulary bank? If you have the intentions of taking this test, I would encourage you. You could start by learning a word per day. You could try to engage with your environment. It doesn't have to be with a dictionary because you can't consume all of that. That might be too pressurizing. But when you go out there, you're looking at a signpost, you bought something, you're reading the inscription on it, you saw a tag, you saw a card, something out there. There's always something to read. There are always places to learn words from. You just need to be conscious of your goal, that I want to enrich my vocabulary bank. Moving on from that, let's talk about task 2 question types, the kind of questions that you can be tested with in your task 2. Don't forget, task 2 is an essay, right? So take a look at number 1. Some people believe that unpaid community service should be a compulsory part of high school programs. For example, working for a charity, improving the neighborhood, or teaching sports to younger children. Now, here is the question: to what extent Do you agree or disagree? That is the question. What you have in red is the question, and that should be your focus. Let's take a look at B. In some countries, the average weight of people is increasing and their levels of health and fitness are decreasing. What do you think are the causes of this problem and what measures could be taken to solve them? This is actually a problem solution question. We have the problem. You're required to supply causes of this problem and supply measures that could be taken to solve them. Then the last one here, which of course these are not the extensions of all there could be. Essay questions can be framed in a lot of ways, but just pay attention to your keywords and be sure that you understand your question before even embarking on answering it. So we have some people say that the best way to improve public health is by increasing the number of sport facilities. Others, however, say that these would have little effect on public health and that other measures are required. Here is the question. Discuss both views and give your own opinion. Now, if you happen to discuss both views and you didn't give your own opinion, you have not achieved the task completely. If you decide to give your own opinion and you discuss just a single view, not both, you have not exhausted the task achievement part. So it's important that you pay attention to your question. Now, how is task 2 assessed? It's still the same thing. Number 1, task response, which could also be termed as task achievement. Then you have the cohesion and coherence, including your paragraphing and how well you link to your information. We also have the lexical resource. Here we're talking about the range of vocabulary used and how appropriate they are for the task. Then grammatical range and accuracy, the range of your structures, your tenses, your sentence types, and how you were able to infuse and mix them all up to give your essay a perfect glow. Now let's talk about the structure. Here we're talking about the essay blueprint. You should have an introduction. Very important. Please do not start an essay by listing your point or by talking or discussing your main idea. The first thing is to have an introduction, and the simplest way to do this is to paraphrase your question. That will be your thesis statement. Then you can have body 1 where you have your main idea. It's important that you support your main idea with instances. Very important. For example, for instance, it's important that you collaborate whatever idea you're trying to share or sell. Same thing applies to the second paragraph. You could have more paragraphs, but whatever it is you're doing, just make sure you're leaving an idea, topic, sentence, very important, and you're supporting the idea with enough information. And the last thing is you must not leave your essay hanging. It's important that you conclude brilliantly, restate your point in a summarized version, and wrap up. Very important. Now, if you would like to take this on, I would like to request that you sketch an outline, for success is more about luck than hard work. What's your take on this? The first thing you must remember to do is to brainstorm. Before you start writing, make sure you pen down your ideas. And when you pen down your ideas, you don't necessarily have to write them the way you listed them or outlined them. You can restructure. If an idea is stronger, you might want to consider bringing such idea as the first thing you will be talking about after your writing about, after your introduction. So it's important that you restructure to actually fit in. Now, here we're going to be talking about linking devices. Remember, I mentioned them earlier. It's important that you link like a pro. When you're adding, moreover, also, those are good linking devices to use. When you're contrasting, you have however, although. When you're giving examples, you have for instance, such as, for example. Then if you're concluding, you have in conclusion, you have conclusively, you have overall. So it's important that you learn how to link like a pro. Now, here's an activity. I need you to fix this sentence. There is actually two sentences separated, but I want you to put it together into a single sentence. Fast food is tasty. It is unhealthy. What would you say? How would you link that to make it into a single sentence? I would love to hear or read your answers in the comment section. In case you're not subscribed to my channel, at this junction, I'd like to say please subscribe to the channel, join the family. Here it's everything about language, not just English, everything about language. And learning is fun and it doesn't have to be tedious. So, here on this channel, we learn and we do it in fun ways. I'd love you to subscribe to my channel, and also as an extension, click on the notification bell so you get notified each time I drop a new video. Don't forget to like, and most importantly, I love that you share this with friends and families. Thank you. Now let's talk about grammar for high scores. It's important that your tense is consistent. Please, tense consistency is very important. Subject verb agreement, very important. Varying sentence types, very important. Articles and prepositions. Now, for most Nigerians, because of the structure of our mother tongues, we tend to use a lot of nouns without putting articles before them or prepositions. For example, you want to say something like in 2023, China experienced fall. Now, there should have been the article A before fall. I hope you understand that. So it's important that you pay attention to things like this as you prepare for the IELTS test. Now, as a grammar detective, how would you correct this sentence? You go to school every day and eat apple. How would you correct that? I'd love to hear from you. Now, let's talk about you planning and writing and checking. You have to use your 20 minutes and your 40 minutes wisely. It's very important that you use your 40 minutes and your 20 minutes wisely. It's important that you plan. I call this brainstorming. You have to think about what you want to write about. You don't just start typing into the computer or start penning down what you have. You might have a writer's block along the way. So it's important you pen down your ideas first and organize the ideas in the way you want them to flow out. For 30 minutes, you can write, and then for the last 5 minutes, I would love that you review what you've written, because at times your brain and your hand might actually not work harmoniously for every of the 30 minutes you were writing. So it's important that you cross check what you've written for spellings. Yeah, there could be some spelling errors for punctuations and a whole lot of other things that you thought you had written or typed but you did not. Take a look at this. We're talking about fish and meat consumption. This is actually a line graph, and you can see grams per person per week, and we can see the years. So if you're to give this, I actually wrote here, you have a sample answer. Yeah, more like a model answer. So if you can notice that I kept some things in blue, I kept some things in red, in purple, in green. It's important that you pay attention to those words, because those are words that your essay should be embellished with. You can see my introduction. The graph illustrates. You have to state that. And then don't forget to also compare if the question is requesting you to compare, and do not forget to wrap up properly. My last paragraph, to sum up, the line graph shows the increased consumption of chicken and the decrease in the eating of beef, lamb, and fish. We're good, right? Yeah, so you have that beef, lamb, and fish. So let's move on. Lexical research. I'm bringing this again because it's very important, and I want you to be intentional as to your daily habits to build your vocabulary bank. The wider the range of vocabulary or expressions used correctly and appropriately, the better a candidate will score. Now let's wrap it up. Final recap and takeaway. Number one, understand the task. It's very important that you understand the task. Number two, use clear structure. Number three, link your ideas. And four, be grammatically correct. And the fifth one, manage your time. Remember, it's actually a test of speed and accuracy. If you followed me till this point, thank you so much. I appreciate you sticking around. If you have questions or a particular aspect you would love me to take in my coming videos, I would love you to reach out to me. Just leave a comment in the comment section and I will be reading from you. Do not forget to give this video a thumbs up. That's actually a way to encourage me, and also share with friends and families. If you're not subscribed yet, this is your cue to actually subscribe to this channel. Join the family and do not forget to turn on the notification bell so you get notified each time I drop a new video. Thank you so much, and I will see you in my next.